Today we have a lovely, lovely session and a great guest speaker here with us. Jessica is going to be presenting on From Tours to Enrollment, Fixing the #1 Revenue Leak in Childcare. She's the founder of an advisory group, and she's a nationally recognized leader in ECE with over 20 years of experience, which is hard to believe, Jessica. Quite impressive. So she's going to be guiding us through a lovely training today. I hope you got your notebooks ready to go and you're ready to be engaged with the session. We have a couple polls throughout, and we'd love to hear from you in the chat. So please let us know where you're joining from today. And if you have any questions that pop up throughout, we'll be keeping an eye on the chat as well as the Q&A tab at the bottom right of your screen. So please engage with us. Use your reaction bar at the bottom. And tell Jessica what's going on at your centers. We'd love to hear from you. With that, I'll give it away.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much. Welcome, everybody. I am so glad that you are here today. Aloha from Hawaii. Look at that. Before we dive in, let me just take a quick look. I want to know who's in the room. When I was looking at the registrations, I got really, really excited because we've got a combination here of directors and assistant directors and owners and investors on the call today. And I really just want to acknowledge, just for a second, how powerful that is and how interesting it is. What a powerful combination of early education leaders that we have that have all come together today. You all have something that you're worried about or something that you need to work on. How cool that we have directors in the room that are on the ground that see the tours walk in the building. They know how the tours go. They have a million jobs. They're trying to balance everything that's happening. We have investors that understand that a metric enrollment just isn't a metric that we use, but it's what drives the whole business. We have small owners that own a multitude of centers, and they know that when occupancy dips or when we're not converting those tours, it really, really impacts your business. And so I'm so excited to have you all here today. I'm going to be speaking to all of you. We're going to walk away with something you can actually use. And so thank you for being here today. We have people from all over the country, and I'm so grateful you've decided to spend some time, especially in May, with us. I know that May is challenging. We're working toward pre-K graduations. You're transitioning children out. You're bringing new children in for the summer. There's a lot happening in May. It's a crazy time, but I'm so grateful that you've decided to spend just a little bit of time here with us today. So here's what we're covering today. We're going to talk about where your revenue is actually leaking, why tours are the #1 missed opportunity in childcare, how to make sure that you are building a process that works, and what you need to start doing differently. And we're going to start this week. Doers always win. You've got to start right now. And so thank you for joining today. I'm not here to give you just a theory. I'm here to give you the real stuff from someone who has operated. I've been in the director position. I've been in the teacher position. I have overseen hundreds of schools. And so what actually moves the needle? We're going to talk about those things today. So just a quick bit about me for those of you that I don't know. I've been in early education, like she said, for over 20 years. I started in the classroom. I grew up through operations and then into school support, and eventually large-scale leadership across hundreds of centers over multiple states. So I'm excited to be here with you today. I now run Hoose Advisory Group, where I work with PE firms and investors, multi-site operators, and even people that just have one center. And I help them make sure that we're growing the revenue, we're stabilizing their business, and do things that actually work. I'm also a wife and a mom, as you can see, to 3 handsome young men. I'm so grateful for the childcare educators that took care of my children when I was a director, those that took care of them as I worked through different roles in the industry. I'm so grateful. But today we're going to talk about something that's not just a theory. It's a real strategy that works on real days with real teams and real schools where things don't just happen perfectly. Someone said there's an echo. Is that happening for everyone?
You sound great on
Okay.
my end, but please Please check your audio settings. If you go to the bottom of your
Okay.
screen and go to settings and select audio, just check what your output might be.
All right, perfect. I wanted to make sure before we get going that everyone can hear me clearly. Um, okay, so we're going to jump right into it today, guys. What are those hard truths? I want to get something that may be just a little bit uncomfortable. A lot of operators in the industry really believe that they have a lead problem, that they need more people walking through the doors, calling more web leads, and they pour a lot of money into marketing. Those of you that have seen your marketing budget know that you're pouring a lot of money to try to get those leads. But here's the truth. You probably don't have a lead problem. That's not true all the time, but it's true a lot of the time. What you likely have is a conversion problem. Call to enrollment rates in childcare are often only 6 to 15%. That means for every 100 calls, you get somewhere between 6 and 15 of those families that actually enroll. What does that mean about the other 85 to 94%? It means they're walking away, not because you don't have a great program, not because you don't do great things for children, but because the process was broken. We missed a step somewhere. We didn't follow up. We didn't guide them. And guys, if you're the operator or you're the leader or you're the owner or the investor, I need you to take a moment right now to self reflect and to really, really hold yourself accountable, because the first thing that happens if you've decided to lead that school is you have to look at yourself and say, what am I doing? What can I be doing differently? What's not going well? And how am I responsible for that? What have I not paid attention to? And I know in real schools, every day, all day, it is really challenging to hold all the plates in the air. You've got to lead a great team. You've got to give people responsibility where you're going to give them authority. And you've got to make sure that you have a process in place. And we're going to talk about that exactly today. So, what happens? Families walk away. The gap is truly in your conversion funnel. They miss the opportunity. The lead is captured, but the follow through maybe doesn't happen. You know that when seats are empty, revenue is lost. And when revenue is lost, everything else in your business gets harder, doesn't it? It's really challenging. Staffing gets harder. You have to start cutting hours. Budgets get tighter. Growth stalls. Enrollment gaps create pressure across every single part of your business and your operation. If you really think about it, guys, this is the lever, right? Fixing conversion rate, even by 10 points, is often worth more than doubling what you're spending in marketing. So we've really got to plan your pivot. What's the mind shift that you have to have? What's your mindset shift? So, what do we talk about? We really have to start with the first step is perspective. I want you to put on your new family glasses and I want you to be thoughtful about it. When you walk into your center, you generally see it the same way because you've been looking at that center for months or even years, guys, right? And so you don't want to see it the way that you see it every day. It's easy to walk in with blinders on and go straight to see the teacher that you need to talk to this morning, or go straight to your office and pull up your email. But I really want you to put on your new family glasses. The way someone who doesn't know you, doesn't trust you yet, and is trying to make one of the most important decisions of their life, where are they going to put their tiny humans? They're trying to make that decision. What do they feel when they pull up in the parking lot? What do they see when they walk through the front door? What do they hear? What do they smell? Right? Sometimes we have some not great smells happening in our centers. It is broccoli day, or there has been a stomach virus going around. We've got to make sure that we're putting on that new family experience every day when we're walking through. And you have to start right now. If you're not picking up the trash when you're walking up to your center, is that really ownership? Are you proud of it? I always told my team, don't stop until you're proud. There are some really quick things that you can do, but sometimes you're losing your families even before they come through the front door. I'm not coming to tour your school if all the flowers are dead outside, right? If you can't take care of flowers, you can't take care of children. You don't have to have a green thumb, but you have to find someone in your centers that can do those things, right? It's okay to distribute and delegate and make sure that everyone has a role and responsibility. And if you're not proud of your center when you drive up, do something about it. It doesn't mean that you have to have a brand new building. It doesn't mean that you have to redo all of the landscaping, but it means that you got to pull the weeds, right? We have to make sure that those first impressions from curb to classroom are impressive. Physically walk that path as a new parent with fresh eyes. And then honestly, look and see what the process is. What's the phone process? If you are a leader and even the school director, guys, and you haven't had someone else call your center when you're not on site, do that this week. If you are the leader and they're going to recognize your phone number, have someone else call your center. I promise 50% of the time you will be shocked, and not in a good way, on the way those phone calls are being handled with the best intention. Your team's not intentionally cutting people off. They're not intentionally hurrying families off the phone, but that's what it feels like. If I'm a new family and I'm calling you about my tiny human who's never been in care before, I'm expecting that you are the expert. You're going to lead me through the process. And if you are saying, I got to go, or just come to the center and I'll give you all the information you need, or yeah, sure, the 2-year-old room is $200 and you can come in and see it if you want to, that's not going to convert into a tour because you don't care about me and my child from the get-go. So 2 things, first impression and follow-up is where most operators are losing families without ever even knowing it. There's a lot of things we can say. Yes, there's new competition. There are new buildings, down the street from me, Jessica. They're beautiful and they're wonderful, but it's really, really important that you do everything you can to get families through the door and then show them why your center is the place that they should be. So let's talk about the actual tour experience. What is the big distinction? I want you to make one distinction that I think will change the way you think about tours forever. There's a massive difference, guys, in showing a center and converting a family. Most directors are giving tours. They're walking families through the building. They're pointing out classrooms. This is the infant classroom. That's the toddler classroom. This is where after school goes. Here's the ratio. They're listing features in a very scripted way where we say, well, the door locks, and then, and you'll get a daily recap of your child's day. And that's not enough. That's not showing. Showing does not enroll. Converting is something that is very different. It means that you are building trust. You're creating a connection. You're leading a family toward their decision. You're the expert. You are the guide. If you think about it, when you go to the doctor's office or if you go take a loan out at a bank, I don't know the process. I expect the expert to walk me through what the step is today, why I should choose them, and what the next steps are to make sure that I understand fully what the process is because they are the expert. In the same way, you are the expert of your center. You know what makes it stand out. You know why it's different. How are you making sure that you're creating a connection with that family? I say it all the time. Stop showing, start converting. It's not a slogan, guys. It is a strategy. It is something that you have to implement every single time. How many of you would say your tours are showing right now more than converting? Drop it in the chat. How many of you really, if you're being honest, right, your tours, are they showing or are you actually converting them? Are you making a connection? Yep. Okay. That's all right. Not a problem. We can do it. We can start these things today. So, what is it that you're selling? Selling is not a word we like in early education. It is something that is a little scary. We're not here to be salespeople. We don't want to sell cars. This is early education. We are here for the tiny humans, right? And so it brings me to a question that I ask every single operator. What is it that you are selling? If you said childcare or my school or an early education program, I really would push back on that. The things that parents buy are peace of mind, they buy safety, they buy trust, they buy confidence that their child is going to be okay when they walk through that door. They're not just buying that program. They buy development of their child, right? They buy confidence. They want to trust the person that's there. And so they are buying you. They are buying the person standing in front of them that knows exactly what it takes to make them feel safe and comfortable. So the success tips here are: be the expert, bring the energy, tell the story of your school, and personalize that experience for every family. If you really think about being the expert and bringing the energy, it's important that you practice those things. You have to make sure that you are confident, and that takes practice. And it's uncomfortable and it's weird. I used to hate when my leaders would make us give each other practice chores, but making sure that you have that confidence and that energy brings confidence to that family that you are the expert. Be the storyteller. The most successful people in the world can tell stories. What are the mistakes that you're having? So I see these mistakes over and over again. Again, lacking confidence in your own expertise. Make sure that you know about early education. You are the expert. People are very transactional, right? It's only listing the facts. Here's the infant room. You have to bring bottles. You have to bring diapers. Here's the tuition rate. And here's the paperwork. That's not going to convert your families. And you really have to be honest with yourself about how often those things are happening, because you're so used to doing it. You're used to walking through the door, showing them the school, and then you've got 12 other things on your mind. And I'm very aware, lots of different things happening. You're trying to figure out who's going to give lunch breaks, um, who's doing bus run this afternoon, so and so called out. I've got to make sure that classroom's covered. And sometimes we don't prioritize that time with our new families. Every family that walks through your door has a different fear. They have a different priority for their child. They have a different story. And so your job is to find out how to speak directly to that, whether that was in the pre-tour or they signed up for their own web tour and they gave some information. Get some information that's important to that family and make it personal. Everything that is more personal, you're a lot more likely to get that family to trust you because you've created a connection and you care about them. So let's talk about your funnel, because this is where directors and owners really need to think like investors for a minute. Every lead that comes in, whether it's web, phone, walk-in tours, enters in a funnel as a new lead. Then they move through tour scheduled, tour completed, registered, and finally they have to move to enrolled. Your job is to look at each stage and ask, where are we losing people? People are dropping off somewhere in the funnel. They're not magically disappearing. We're losing them somewhere. Is it between inquiry and tour scheduled? That tells me your phone process needs some work. Is it between tour scheduled and tour completed? That tells me that confirmation, reminder, there are so many things that happen out there that can happen automatically now to take that lever of stress out. Are you utilizing those functions? Is it between tour completed and registered? That tells me that your closing is a little bit weak. Every gap in this funnel is a revenue leak, and you can fix every single one of them. For investors on the call, ask your operators to pull this data by stage. If they can't, that's the first thing that we have to fix. Data is king. It gives you information to be able to make moves in your business in the right places. So let's walk through specific solutions at each one of these stages. Inquiry to tour scheduled. So at the inquiry stage, someone calls or they submit a form, and your only goal is to get them on the tour. That's it. Not to give them a price sheet, not to read them a list of programs, to get them to your building. And the way that you don't do that is you say, well, I'm really busy today. can you go online and just schedule your own tour? I've literally heard this happen. You have to make sure that every phone conversation we're taking seriously, guys. And I, again, completely understand. I've run a building before. It is hard, it is challenging to prioritize a lot of different things at the same time. So get some call feedback if you haven't already. We talked about this a little while ago. How is your team answering the phone, whether you're there or not, whether you're an owner, an investor, or if you're at the director at the school and you think, I answer the phone perfectly. You may very well do that, but you don't answer the phone every single time, more than likely. What are they saying? Are they asking questions? Are they actually getting to know a family? Are we personalizing an email that goes out after the call? And most importantly, are we actually asking them to tour? So many times I have heard these phone calls and they never ask for the tour. Families call and they ask information like, do you have a spot in the 2-year-old room? What's the price? And then they give them that information and they hang up, right? Or they say, I can't get you in on a tour until, 2 weeks from Thursday. I have physically gone to schools to secret shop them before. No one could give me a tour. No one could tell me when I could have a tour. I couldn't even get on a schedule to have a tour. And those are the kinds of things, guys, that I know happen, especially when you have low enrollment and you're really stretched thin. But you've got to make a decision. How are you going to get out of that? And the way that you do that is you build enrollment. And you build enrollment by prioritizing your tours and your tour phone calls. And so you've got to make a list. What can you delegate? What are the things that your team is doing? So, also, it's really important that you offer flexible tour times. I've seen this pretty often as I'm working with operators. Families are busier than ever. They have after school activities, they have before school activities. It is a really, really busy life for us as childcare early education operators, but it's also really busy for families. And so you have to be flexible. I secret shopped a school just a couple of weeks ago for an operator. And when I called, they said I could only come on Fridays between 12 and 2. That was my only option to come tour. Now I did, but at the same time, a lot of families don't have that much flexibility. So you have to come up with a process that's going to work. All right, tour scheduled to tour completed. Once a tour is scheduled, great job. You've got them to come to your building. But this is where so many programs actually drop the ball. The work is not done. You have to have a pre-tour phone call. You need appointment reminders, whether those are automated or not. People want to trust humans with their children. And so making sure that you pick up the phone and you prioritize it, it has to be on your checklist every single day to do the pre-tour phone calls for tomorrow or do the ones this morning for this afternoon. You have to make the connection with people. If they miss the tour, you follow up. You don't just move on. Everyone gets busy. Everyone has a hard day, ourselves included. If you missed something, a simple email or text that says, we missed you, we would love to reschedule with you, can really save a lead. Don't lose your leads, guys, just because someone had a hard day or a hard week. All right, tour completed to tour enrolled. This is where the real skill comes in, right? A lot of these other processes can happen pretty automatically, or the phone call doesn't take a really long time, but this is where you have to make sure that you're showing off. So practice giving mock tours with your team. I understand role play is hard and it's weird, but ask hard questions if you're doing the mock interview, right? You're doing the mock tour. Involve your teachers in the process because families fall in love with your teachers. Prepare your teachers when families are coming to see their classroom. Teachers have to be the trusted person that that family is going to enroll with. Customize your tour. It has to be specific to that family. What are their needs? What are their fears? Ask for the enrollment every single time without fail. You are the leader, you are the guide. You have to ask them for the enrollment. If you're not asking, you're not closing the tour. It's that simple. All right. Now we're going to switch gears a little bit. You've got to work on the workflow. There's got to be a system behind all of this because individual effort without a system is not scalable. And scalable doesn't just mean that you have more than one center. Is it scalable within your own center? Because you are all superhumans, you play lots of roles, you wear lots of hats, but you can't be there every single minute of every single day. And if you are, I want to challenge you to work on that. But you also have to have a team that you really, really trust. And they have to know what the process is and what your expectations are. Because individual effort without a system, it's just not scalable, guys. This is especially important for multi site operators and investors. You cannot rely on just one great person, on yourself, on one great director at every location. You have to have a workflow. Regardless of who is at the front desk, they have to know what to do. I've seen this for years in operations where a tour goes badly or a family doesn't have a great experience and they get online and they do a review about it. Has this happened to you? And it's mortifying. And you're thinking that was their experience. And then you immediately want to go to your team and say, I cannot believe this happened. I can't believe you treated them like that. But have you actually sat down, showed your team what the process should be, held them to your expectations? Have you followed them while they're giving a tour? It's okay to tell families, this is Miss Susie's first tour. I'm going to walk along with her and fill in where needed. But it's okay to stand there while your team is giving tours. You've got to make sure that they are in good practice. So here's the framework: evaluate it, map the family journey throughout your school. What actually happens from the moment someone says they want to sign up to the enrollment packet to the follow up? The second thing you have to do is document it. Write it down. Checklists make the world go round. Small, repeatable actions that you do over and over and over again make sure that execution actually happens. Create a repeatable system that your team can follow consistently. Third is identify the gaps. Audit what you've built and find where families are falling through the cracks. We talked about that with your funnel. Where are we losing families? And do we need to rethink that process? Do we need to think about why families are leaving? Are there too many forms? Is the digital process too complicated for families to get through? Don't just shrug your shoulders. Don't point fingers on families. It's just too expensive. We've got to lower the prices. That's not always the answer. Where are we losing our families and what can we do about it? Fourth, automate. Use tools to create reminders, confirmations. Guys, technology is amazing right now. There are so many things that you can do to automate processes and procedures and follow-up tasks so you never miss an important moment. LineLeader has built specifically this for you. It gives you really the infrastructure to run a consistent, trackable, scalable enrollment process. All right, so let's take a quick poll because I love this one. How many touch points do you think it takes to convert a family from inquiry to enrollment? Inquiry to enrollment. Should be a poll up. How many do you think it takes?
All right, so far it looks like we're seeing kind of a split, actually. Most are saying 11 to 14, 7 to 10, 15 to 18. One guess for 19 to 22. I mean, can there be too many touch points? What do you think?
All right. I love it. I love it, guys. Well, I think the majority of you are right on it. Research says it takes between 11 to 14 touch points from a family from inquiry to enrollment. 11 to 14 times. I have heard people in all realms say, "You have lost your mind, Jessica. That's crazy. That's called harassment." It's not actually. They reached out to you. They came to you originally and said, "I want a place for my children," right? And it's kind of weird. It's like cold calling people, but they came to you. They said, I want a safe place for my child." 11 to 14. All those touch points can be calls, they can be texts, they can be emails, they can be direct mails, they can be events, they can be tours, but you have to make contact with people. And now, guys, don't do it. Don't make every single one of them a text or an email. People want to hear from people that are taking care of their tiny humans. This isn't about being pushy, it's about being present. It's that families need to hear from you. You are going to be taking care of their little one, and it's the most important decision that they are going to make. And they have to feel like you want them there, that you are eager to get to know their family and their child. Every touch point is a chance for you to build trust. All right. Jumping into the tour experience, you have to reinforce that mindset. I want to come back to this for a second because it's really worth repeating. The tour experience is crucial. Stop showing, start converting. This is a mindset, and sometimes it's a culture shift. It starts with leadership. You are the leader in the team. It starts with you modeling it. If you're an owner, if you're an investor, it starts with the culture you create, the expectations you set, and making sure that there's a way to check in on those things. All right, I've seen a couple of texts. I'm going to slow down just for a second. What happens when they have access and say no to the text or the email when they set up the tour? Yeah, absolutely. So I think what you're asking here is if they decline or they put stop in your text messages, there's really nothing you can do about that. But it still is important that you pick up the phone and you call them and you say, hey, I know you're not going to get our follow-up tour, our follow-up texts or emails, but I just want to make sure that you know that we are so excited to have you on this tour, or we really enjoyed the tour experience with you. We know that you're looking at other centers, and that's okay, but we just want you to know that we think your child would thrive here and we would love to have him. People respond to confidence, and that takes practice, right? You've got to be brave. You've got to be courageous leaders and say the things that are sometimes a little scary for you. And that's okay. I saw a couple of people that said you need help from tour completed to registered. That's great. So, again, I think that goes back to asking for the enrollment when they're in the center, asking them, okay, the next step is we get you enrolled. Here's the paperwork. The deposit is, assume that they've already decided yes, right? And the soonest we can get you in is next Monday, right? And at that point, you give them the option to say, well, I'm not ready yet, or whatever. But then you have to figure out what are the things that are going to set your school apart. It's okay to be confident in your center. It's okay if you've built a great program to say, I understand that you're going to go look at other centers, but I know you will be back because we cannot wait to have your child enrolled and learning with us. Be confident. Practice what it is that you are proud of. All right, we're going to keep going here. So, again, what are we actually selling? I think there's a lot of teams that get stuck here. It can't be transactional. It's not a commodity purchase. A family is not shopping for childcare the way that they shop for their cell phone plan, right? They're not asking, like, what's the data plan? How fast is it? It really has to make sure you have to make sure that you're setting yourself apart as the expert. You're selling safety, you're selling trust, you're selling peace of mind, you're selling development of their child. Lead with confidence and energy. It's so important. Tell stories, not just facts. Tell them about the child who was scared on their first day and now runs to the door every single morning, and their children don't want to leave. My children were the same way. I would come and pick them up and they would say, can you come back later? Tell them about the teacher who's been here for 12 years because she loves what she does. He loves how he can interact with the children and teach them something new every day. Add and personalize that story. Ask questions. Make sure you stop and pause and give time to listen, and then reflect back what you heard. Give those families back the things that you heard that were important to them. Give back part of their concern in the way that you are the solution. How can you solve the problem? All right, conversion reality. Here's something that I really want every director on this call to internalize. Give the same energy to a prospective family that you give to your enrolled families. I have seen you guys. Enrollment families are picking up in the afternoon and you are asking about their new car, their new job. You know where they just went on vacation. You knew that Granny was having a procedure. You know everything that is happening with those families that are already enrolled. Your new families deserve that same energy. Think about how you greet parents that you have known for years. You know their child's name. This is the exact same energy you have to give touring families. You are trying to make a connection with them. Eye contact, tone, genuine engagement, genuine interest in the things that are happening in their families. These things cost nothing and they convert your families because families trust you. The director that was the director for all three of my children, my young boys, I always said that even if she left the company I was working for, I would follow her because she gave me such confidence that she held her team accountable, that she truly believed in early education. I trusted her, right? I trusted her confidence. I trusted her knowledge and her skill and the leadership in that school above all else. So there's a financial case to be made here as well. And that's why some of you are here today. I think it's really important that we understand better conversion equals higher enrollment. Higher enrollment equals better staffing stability. It means you can pay stronger wages and attract families and teachers. It means that you can invest more in your classroom and your supplies, and there's less operational stress. I know that some people will argue with me about this. They will say, Jessica, have you run a building with 300 kids in it and that many families? Yes. And it is really challenging, but I promise you, when you have a team, a bigger team that can flow and that you're not having to cut hours because your enrollment doesn't support it. If you're efficient in your school and your classrooms, you're able to do more and invest more in your schools. It makes the operation a lot easier to manage. If you're struggling with staffing, if you struggle with quality, if you're struggling with growth, the first question that I always ask is, what is your occupancy rate? What is your conversion rate? Because that's usually where the answer lies. When you're struggling with all of those other things, it's because you haven't enrolled yet. And that's challenging, right? It's a chicken and an egg. You have high quality when you have fuller centers and you have consistent staff, and that takes time to build. That's not the thing we can do immediately, but there are a few things that we can do immediately. All right, let's really break this down and make it real. Here is exactly what I want you to decide to do this week. First, we decided we were going to walk our center with fresh eyes. Do it this week. It has to be clean, guys. If you can't be anything else, you can be clean. Make sure the building is clean. Make sure there are not handprints on the front door. I understand we have tiny humans coming in and out. This is where the checklist comes in. We don't need handprints all over everything when they walk in the door. The windows have to be clean. Pull in someone who hasn't been in your building in a while, or literally just walk through your front door and pretend to be a new family. What is it that you're noticing? Second, fix the easy curb appeal issues immediately. Is your signage clean? Does it need to be power washed? Is the entrance welcoming? Are the flowers alive? These things make more of an impact than you know. People don't want a dirty childcare center. They don't want to walk into somewhere where they think they're just dropping their child off and they're going to be sticky and my feet stick to the floor. They want to make sure that they have put their child somewhere that is clean and safe. Third, secret shop two of your competitors. Call them, see how they answer the phone. Go on tours if you can. Know what you're up against and learn from what they're doing. Early education is evolving, guys. We cannot treat our centers the way that we did 10 or 15 or 20 years ago. Technology is evolving. What families want is evolving. A lot of times, our families have a little bit more flexible of a job now, and there are more options out there. You have to be the option of choice. Fourth, start tracking. If you're not tracking tours booked, tours completed, conversions by stage, you have to start today. You cannot improve what you don't measure and if you don't know where the gap is. You have to make sure that you understand where you're losing kids, where you're losing families, and fix that part of your process. And fifth, if you want help retraining your tour process or building a conversion system that really works, that's exactly what I do. I work with operators of all sizes to get this piece right. You can reach out to me directly. All right. Make sure we just can't even have this conversation if we don't talk about retention. So before we close, I just want to spend a couple of moments on retention because enrollment is not just about getting your families in, it's about keeping them. The best conversion strategy in the world is don't lose the children that you have. If your turnover is high, continuity of care matters more than almost anything else. Aim to keep your teaching teams consistent. When a family builds a relationship with a teacher and that teacher leaves, you have a really high risk of losing that family as well. And trust me, I know that's much easier said than done. But I will say that generally, operators don't think they have a conversion problem. And if you pull the data, I almost guarantee that you do have a conversion problem. What I hear all the time is, well, the family, they're moving. They're moving, Jessica. They're moving. They are moving across the street, is what one of my colleagues used to say. They are not moving far away. They are quietly quitting your center, and you need to figure out why. So communicate often through a variety of channels. Don't assume that families know what's happening in the school. Tell them, celebrate with them, get them involved, get them excited. You have to identify concerns early. When a family seems frustrated or they don't speak to you when they leave or they're disengaged, address it before it becomes a withdrawal. I used to tell when I was a district manager and a regional manager is you better have talked to them before I do. You better have recognized that that family was unhappy when they left today and either stopped them or picked up the phone and said, I understand you were frustrated. Can you talk to me about it? This goes back to being brave, guys. This goes back to having hard conversations because families are quietly quitting. They're not telling you their concerns, but they're sure telling 5 of their friends and they're posting it on social media. You have to be out. You have to be available. You have to be available to have the hard conversations and then commit. You've got to commit to continuous improvement. Ask families for feedback. Ask your teachers for feedback. Keep raising the bar with the experience that you are delivering. I used to tell my team, guys, we are only doing bar raising hires. That means the next person you hire better be the best person that's ever walked in your building, and the rest of your team will continue to raise the bar. All right. I'll leave you with this. Treat every single tour like it's worth $15,000 because it is, depending on where you are in the country, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. When you factor in the full range of an enrolled family over time, they're with you. A single enrollment is worth thousands and thousands and thousands of revenue dollars. When you have those revenue dollars, you can invest in other pieces of your business. That family walking through the door, it's not an interruption to your day. It's not a nuisance. They're there for a reason. They believed that you could potentially be the place for their tiny human. Every tour matters. Every follow-up matters. Every conversation matters. Stop showing your center and start converting your families. Before we go, I'll see if there are any other questions in the chat. I'm not sure if there are any in the Q&A, but I do want to make sure that you know about some resources. The 12th annual ECE benchmark report came out from LineLeader. This is a great resource for everyone on this call. If you're in a leadership team, you can use benchmark and make sure that you're comparing your business against others of the same size. If you're a center director, there's data in there to help you boost occupancy and enhance your family experience. If you're a multi-site operator or investor, you can use it to develop KPIs for your locations if you don't already have those in place. And if you're running an enrollment team, there are best practices in there for every stage of that funnel. Make sure you download that copy. All right, let me see kind of what questions are in here. we've done assuming they chose us and had parents tell us that they pushed them away. So I think that's a really good point, guys. I think it's really important that you are staying involved in your community. Childcare, whether you are a multi-site operator or you just have one in the community, childcare is a very localized business. It doesn't matter if you have a huge brand or a small brand. No one, they don't actually care what that brand is. They care about the value and the relationships that they have in that center. And so if parents are not talking great, saying great things about you, that's something we probably need to address. Are we getting constant feedback? Are we making improvements in our center? And that's something that's continuous and often and has to continue to happen. Best way to ask for parent feedback. Great question. There are a variety of ways. Families oftentimes are a little nervous. They don't necessarily want to give you complete feedback because they feel like you're going to take it out against their child, which is an awful feeling. And so there are a lot of survey places you can go, Survey Monkey. There are a lot of even Google Forms. If you want to sit on a link and you don't collect the information that's coming back, have some open-ended questions and be ready, right? Because some of those things sting a little bit, but if you really take time to self-reflect, that's the very first step, right? If you really reflect and say, what can we do differently? How can we make this better for our families? All right. College town for a while. Most of your staff are college kids with variable schedules. Absolutely. I have certainly had my fair share of college towns before. That's the same for military towns as well. Sometimes you're running through different staff. I always say you have to have your like core group, right? And so that's hard to build, but you're selling yourself when you're interviewing your team just as much as they're selling themselves to you. It's important to say, this is my school. This is what I stand for. I would love for you to be a part of that, but here are the non-negotiables that come along with that. And so you've got to have a core group, even if you have a lot of part-time teams coming in and out. I understand that's a real challenge. All right. I'm going to keep going. So I just want to take a moment before we close out. I want to thank LineLeader for the opportunity to be here with all of you today. I want to thank every single one of you for giving up your time to spend it with me today. This industry matters. What you do every single day, I believe, is the heart of our country. The more profitable and stable that you are, the better that you can serve families and children that depend on you. If you want to keep the conversation going, here's how you find me. My information is up here. I would love to connect. Whether you need an executive strategy session or you want to take a deeper look at engagement, I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much. Go fix your tours, go convert some families, and do it today. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Jessica, and thank you everyone for joining us today.